February feels like the quiet before the explosion. Cold soil, gray skies, maybe even frost on the ground. And most people think gardening hasn't really started yet. That's the mistake, because while many gardeners are still waiting for real spring, the smartest growers are already planting. And this month makes a bigger difference than almost any other. Miss this window and your season starts late. Growth is slower, harvests are smaller, pests hit harder, and you spend the whole year trying to catch up. But plant the right crops now and everything shifts. Roots establish in cool soil. Plants mature before heat stress. Yields increase, work decreases, and your garden feels ahead instead of behind. Today we're going through 10 crops you absolutely should plant in February. Crops that love cool starts, reward early action, and set you up for a stronger, longer, more productive growing season. Write these down, because skipping them now means wishing you hadn't later. 1. Arugula, rocket. Arugula is one of the fastest, easiest, and most rewarding leafy greens you can grow, especially in the cool seasons. Known for its bold, peppery flavor, it turns simple salads, sandwiches, and pasta into something vibrant and fresh. But beyond taste, arugula is a powerhouse crop for gardeners who want quick harvests and continuous production. Arugula belongs to the Brassica family, which includes cabbage, kale, and mustard. Unlike many of its relatives, though, it grows incredibly fast. From seed to harvest can take as little as 3 to 4 weeks, which makes it perfect for filling gaps in the garden and getting food on the table quickly. Why arugula is such a smart crop. Arugula thrives in cool temperatures, making it ideal for early spring and fall. While many vegetables struggle in chilly soil, arugula actually prefers it. Cool weather improves flavor, keeping leaves tender and pleasantly spicy rather than overly sharp or bitter. It's also very space efficient. You don't need big beds. Arugula grows beautifully in garden rows, raised beds, containers, window boxes. Because it matures so quickly, you can sow it between slower crops like tomatoes or peppers. By the time those plants need the space, your arugula is already harvested. How to plant arugula prefers well-drained soil rich in organic matter. It doesn't need heavy fertilizing, but compost improves leaf size and tenderness. Sow seeds directly into the soil. Arugula does not like transplanting. Scatter seeds thinly or plant in shallow rows about 1/4 inch deep. Lightly cover with soil and water gently. Seeds usually sprout within 3 to 7 days, sometimes even faster in mild weather. For continuous harvest, plant new seeds every 2 to 3 weeks. Sun and temperature arugula grows best in full sun in cool weather, partial shade in warmer climates. Hot temperatures cause the plant to bolt, send up a flower stalk. Once bolting starts, leaves become more bitter. Some gardeners actually enjoy the stronger flavor, but if you prefer mild greens, harvest often and provide afternoon shade when temperatures rise. Watering. Keep soil consistently moist, not soggy. Fast growth depends on steady moisture. Dry stress makes leaves tough and extra spicy. A layer of mulch helps retain moisture and keeps roots cool. Harvesting. This is where arugula shines. You can harvest. Baby leaves at 2 to 3 inches tall for mild flavor. Mature leaves at 4 to 6 inches for stronger spice. Use the cut and come again method. Snip outer leaves and leave the center growing. One planting can produce multiple harvests. Flowers are edible too. If plants bolt, don't rush to remove them. Arugula flowers are edible, slightly sweet, and great in salads. Bees also love them. Nutrition arugula is low in calories, but rich in vitamin K, vitamin C, folate, calcium, antioxidants. It supports bone health, immunity, and digestion. Why gardeners love it. Arugula is fast, low-maintenance, cold-tolerant, space-saving. Productive few crops deliver fresh food this quickly with so little effort. Plant it once and you'll wonder why you ever waited. 2. Early potatoes. Early potatoes are one of the most satisfying crops you can grow because they reward you fast. While main season potatoes take months to mature, early varieties produce tender, thin-skinned potatoes much sooner, often before pests and diseases become serious problems. They're perfect for gardeners who want food on the table early and maximum use of spring soil. Freshly dug early potatoes taste completely different from store-bought ones. Sweeter, creamier, and delicate enough that the skins don't even need peeling. What are early potatoes? Early potatoes are fast-maturing varieties planted as soon as soil can be worked in late winter or early spring. They grow quickly in cool weather and are harvested before summer heat slows them down. They're usually divided into first early, ready in about 8 to 10 weeks. Second early, ready in 10 to 12 weeks. These potatoes are smaller but incredibly flavorful. Why plant them early? Potatoes love cool soil. Planting early gives them strong root development, faster tuber formation, less stress from heat, lower risk of late-season diseases like blight. By the time major pests arrive, your crop may already be harvested. Preparing seed potatoes. Use certified seed potatoes, not grocery store ones, to avoid disease. Before planting, let them chit, pre-sprout. Place them in a bright, cool place for 1 to 2 weeks until short green sprouts form. This jumpstarts growth and speeds up harvest time. Soil requirements. Potatoes need loose, well-draining soil, rich organic matter. Slightly acidic conditions. Heavy soil causes misshapen tubers, so loosen deeply. Avoid freshly manured soil. Too much nitrogen gives leaves, not potatoes. How to plant plant seed potatoes? 4 inches deep. Sprouts facing up 12 inches apart. Rows 24 to 30 inches apart. Cover with soil and water lightly. Hilling, very important. As plants grow 6 to 8 inches tall, mound soil around stems, leaving top leaves exposed. Hilling protects developing tubers from sunlight, prevents greening, which makes potatoes bitter, encourages more tubers to form repeat. Hilling 2 to 3 times during growth. Sun and temperature potatoes need full sun, cool growing conditions, ideal 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit / 10 to 21 degrees Celsius. They stop producing well in high heat. Watering consistent moisture is key. Too dry equals small potatoes. Too wet equals rot water deeply once or twice a week, especially when tubers are forming. Feeding potatoes benefit from balanced nutrients, especially potassium for tuber growth, phosphorus for root strength. Avoid excess nitrogen, it delays tuber formation. Harvesting early potatoes. You don't have to wait for full maturity. New potatoes can be harvested when plants flower. Gently dig around the base and remove a few, leaving the plant to continue growing. For a full harvest, wait until plants start to yellow, but before complete dieback. Use a fork carefully. Early potatoes have delicate skins. Benefits of early potatoes: fast food production, delicious tender texture, lower pest and disease pressure, perfect for small gardens, great use of early season space. Extra tip: after harvesting early potatoes, you can replant the space with beans, squash, or summer greens, making it a high-efficiency crop. Early potatoes are about timing. Plant early, grow fast, harvest young, and you'll enjoy some of the best-tasting potatoes you've ever eaten long before most gardens even get started. 3. Spring garlic. Spring garlic is one of the easiest and most dependable crops you can grow, yet many gardeners overlook it. Unlike fall-planted garlic that focuses on forming large bulbs later in summer, spring garlic offers something different. A steady supply of fresh, flavorful green garlic first, followed by smaller but still delicious bulbs. It's perfect for gardeners who missed fall planting or want a second garlic harvest. Spring garlic grows fast in cool soil and makes excellent use of early-season garden space before heat-loving crops take over. What is spring garlic? Spring garlic usually refers to garlic planted in late winter or early spring rather than autumn. It doesn't have as long to develop underground, so bulbs may be smaller. But the plant makes up for it with tender green tops and mild young cloves. You can harvest it at multiple stages: as green garlic, like thick scallions, as young baby garlic bulbs, as smaller mature bulbs later in the season. Nothing goes to waste. Stems, leaves, and immature bulbs are all edible. Why plant garlic in spring? Many people think garlic must be planted in fall, but spring planting still works well, especially in regions with mild winters, short growing seasons, heavy soils that stay too wet in fall. Spring garlic is also great for raised beds and containers where soil warms faster. Choosing garlic use firm, healthy garlic bulbs. Break them into individual cloves right before planting. Each clove grows into one new bulb. Larger cloves produce stronger plants and bigger bulbs, so plant the biggest cloves for the best results. How to plant garlic. Loves loose, well-drained soil rich in organic matter. Plant cloves. Pointed end up, 1 to 2 inches deep. 4 to 6 inches apart. Rows 8 to 12 inches apart. Water after planting to settle the soil. Garlic roots grow first, then leaves, so early moisture is important. Sun and temperature garlic needs. Full sun, at least 6 hours. Cool to mild weather for early growth. It tolerates light frosts and actually prefers cooler conditions while establishing. Watering garlic likes steady moisture but hates soggy soil. Water deeply but allow the top layer of soil to dry between watering. Too much water causes rot. Too little limits bulb size. As bulbs begin to mature later in the season, reduce watering. Feeding garlic is a moderate feeder. Compost at planting is often enough, but you can give a light nitrogen boost early to encourage leaf growth. More leaves equals more energy equals better bulb development. Mulching mulch helps. Regulate soil temperature, suppress weeds, maintain moisture. Straw or leaf mulch works well. Harvest stages. Green garlic, early stage. Harvest when plants are pencil thick. Flavor is mild, fresh, and slightly sweet. Young garlic small bulbs begin forming, but skins aren't fully developed. Mature spring garlic harvest when lower leaves turn yellow and fall over. Bulbs will be smaller than fall garlic, but still flavorful. Benefits of spring garlic. Fast growing. Uses early garden space. Multi-stage harvest. Less pest pressure. Easy for beginners. Extra tip. If your spring garlic forms flower stalks, scapes, remove them. This sends energy back into the bulb and improves size. Spring garlic may not produce giant bulbs like fall-planted varieties, but it delivers versatility, fresh flavor, and reliable harvest when the garden is just waking up. It's one of the simplest ways to turn early season soil into real food. 4. Swiss chard. Swiss chard is one of the most dependable leafy greens you can grow. It handles cold, heat, and repeated harvesting without slowing down. Once established, a single planting can feed you for months. Swiss chard is technically a beet, but instead of growing a large root, it focuses energy on producing big, glossy leaves and crunchy stems. Depending on the variety, stems can be white, yellow, orange, pink, or deep red. Why it's a must plant. Tolerates cold snaps and summer heat. Grows fast and regrows after cutting. Produces continuously instead of all at once. Highly nutritious, vitamins A, C, K, magnesium. How to grow sow seeds directly into soil as soon as it can be worked. Chard prefers full sun to partial shade. Loose, rich soil. Consistent moisture. Space plants about 8 to 12 inches apart. Thin seedlings early so leaves can size up. Harvesting trick, don't pull the plant. Pick outer leaves first and leave the center intact. This cut-and-come-again method keeps it producing for months. Bonus chard rarely bolts quickly like lettuce, making it a reliable green when other leafy crops struggle. 5. Parsnip. Parsnips are a patience crop, slow to start but worth it. These pale roots become sweeter as temperatures drop, making them one of the best fall and winter vegetables. They look like white carrots but taste nuttier, richer, and slightly spicy when raw, turning sweet and buttery when cooked. Why plant early parsnips need a long growing season? Early planting ensures roots fully develop before heat slows growth. Soil matters. Parsnips need deep, loose soil, no rocks or compaction, good drainage. Heavy soil leads to forked or twisted roots. Growing tips. Seeds germinate slowly, up to 3 weeks. Keep soil evenly moist during this period. Thin plants to 4 to 6 inches apart. The sweetness secret cold transforms starches into sugars. Leaving parsnips in the ground after frost dramatically improves flavor. Harvesting dig carefully with a fork. Roots grow deep. They can stay in the ground well into winter in many climates. 6. Leek. Leeks are like onions' calmer, more elegant cousin. They grow slowly but steadily, offering a long harvest window and excellent cold tolerance. Their mild, sweet onion flavor makes them perfect for soups, stews, roasting, and sautéing. Why they're valuable? Extremely cold hardy, low pest pressure, long season crop, store well in the ground. Planting method, leeks love rich soil and consistent moisture. Best method, start seedlings or buy transplants. Plant in shallow trenches. As they grow, mound soil around stems. This blanching process creates the long, tender white stem leeks are known for. Spacing plants 6 inches apart in rows. They don't mind close neighbors. Care leeks are heavy feeders. Compost or organic fertilizer helps them size up. Keep soil moist, especially during dry spells. Harvest. You can pull young baby leeks early or wait for thick stems. They tolerate frost and even light snow. 7. Dill. Dill is one of the most generous plants you can grow. It gives you leaves, flowers, seeds, and even insect control, all from one plant. Why dill is so valuable? Dill grows quickly in cool weather and doesn't demand rich soil. In fact, too much fertilizer can reduce its flavor. It's ideal for early season planting because it prefers mild temperatures and bolts in extreme heat. 2 harvests in 1. You actually get 2 different crops from dill. Dill weed, the feathery leaves used fresh in salads, soups, sauces, fish dishes, and dressings. Dill seed, harvested later for pickling, spice blends, and medicinal uses. Let some plants flower and you'll get umbrella-shaped yellow blooms. These attract beneficial insects like parasitic wasps and hoverflies that help control aphids and caterpillars. Growing tips. Full sun, well-drained soil, direct sow. Dill dislikes transplanting. Thin plants so they have airflow succession plant every few weeks for a steady supply. 8. Cilantro, coriander leaves. Cilantro is one of the fastest herbs from seed to harvest. In cool weather, it grows lush and leafy, but when heat hits, it bolts quickly, which actually gives you another crop. Why you should always plant cilantro. Cilantro gives you 2 foods in one plant. Cilantro leaves, fresh herb for salsas, salads, curries, and sauces. Coriander seeds, harvested after flowering for spice use. Cool temperatures equals leafy growth. Warm temperatures equals seed production. So even when it bolts, it's not a failure. It's the natural cycle. Growing tips. Prefers cool weather, partial sun in warmer areas, direct sow for best results. Keep soil lightly moist. Plant every 2 to 3 weeks for continuous harvest. 9. Mustard greens. Mustard greens are one of the fastest leafy vegetables you can grow. They germinate quickly and are ready to harvest in just a few weeks. Why mustard greens are powerful. They're bold, spicy, and packed with nutrients. The flavor ranges from mild to peppery hot, depending on the variety and age of the leaf. They're also incredibly cold tolerant. Light frosts actually improve flavor. Growth-style mustards grow fast and shade the soil, which helps suppress weeds naturally. They're excellent for filling empty spaces in garden beds. Harvesting options. Baby leaves for salads, mature leaves for cooking. Let some flower, the blossoms attract pollinators. Growing tips. Full sun to partial shade, rich, moist soil. Harvest outer leaves first to keep plants producing. Calendula, pot marigold. Calendula looks like a flower, but it behaves like an herb, a medicinal plant, and a garden helper all at once. Why calendula is special. Bright orange and yellow blooms aren't just decorative. The petals are edible and medicinal. Calendula has long been used for skin healing, salves and oils teas for gentle immune and digestive support. Garden benefits. Calendula attracts pollinators and beneficial insects. It also helps deter some pests and improves biodiversity in the garden. Growing style. Thrives in cool weather, blooms continuously, self-seeds easily, tolerates poor soil. The more you pick flowers, the more it produces. Harvesting. Pick blooms when fully open. Dry petals for tea, infused oil, or skincare preparations. Imagine stepping into your yard, reaching overhead, and twisting a sun-warmed avocado straight off the branch. No packaging, no checkout line, no sold-out sign, just real food, quietly growing as part of your everyday life. Most people assume avocados are fussy tropical trees that only belong in commercial orchards. But once you understand how they grow, especially what their roots need and how to set them up properly, they become one of the most dependable long-term food trees you can own. This isn't about one good season. It's about building a system where the tree improves every year, gets stronger with age, and keeps producing for decades. So we begin where every successful avocado tree begins, in the ground. 1. Choosing the right location. This stage matters more than people think. Where and how you plant determines whether your avocado barely survives or grows like it's completely at home. When digging the hole, the biggest mistake is going too deep. Avocado roots stay close to the surface and need plenty of oxygen. A deep hole filled with loose soil can trap water below the root zone, which leads to root rot. Instead, dig a hole only as deep as the root ball, but make it 2 to 3 times wider than the pot. Width encourages roots to spread outward, which stabilizes the tree and improves nutrient uptake. Before placing the tree in the hole, slide it out of the container and check the roots. If they're tightly circling, gently loosen them or make a few shallow vertical slices. This helps redirect growth outward into the soil, rather than continuing in circles, which can restrict the tree later. Set the tree so the top of the root ball sits slightly above the surrounding soil and about an inch or two higher. This small elevation is crucial. Avocados dislike being buried deeply, and a slightly raised position improves drainage and keeps the crown dry. Never mound soil against the trunk. Moisture against the bark can cause rot, which is difficult to reverse. When refilling the hole, use mostly the native soil you removed. It may seem helpful to fill the hole with rich potting mix, but that can create a bathtub effect where water collects and drains poorly. A bit of compost is fine, but keep the soil structure natural. Firm the soil gently with your hands as you go, not your feet. Roots need air spaces to breathe. After planting, shape a shallow ring of soil around the tree to form a watering basin. This directs water toward the root zone instead of letting it run away. Give the tree a deep, slow watering right away. This settles soil around the roots and eliminates large air pockets. If the soil sinks after watering, top it up slightly while keeping the root ball raised. Next comes mulch, one of the most important steps. Spread a 2 to 4 inch layer of wood chips or leaf mulch over the root area. This keeps soil cool, conserves moisture, and supports soil life, mimicking the forest floor avocados evolved in. Just keep mulch a few inches away from the trunk to prevent rot. Young avocado trees can sway before their roots anchor. If wind is a concern, add 1 or 2 stakes placed outside the root zone and tie the trunk loosely with soft ties. Allow slight movement. It helps strengthen the trunk. Remove stakes after the first year so the tree develops natural strength. Finally, be patient. Avoid fertilizing right after planting. The tree's energy is focused below ground, building the root system that will support years of fruiting. It's normal if above-ground growth slows at first. The real work is happening where you can't see it. Planting isn't just placing a tree in soil. It's creating the conditions where roots can breathe, expand, and anchor deeply. Get this part right, and everything that follows becomes easier and far more productive. Soil, the make or break factor. Sunlight fuels the canopy, but soil determines whether the roots live or fail. Avocado roots are delicate, fine, fibrous, and highly dependent on oxygen. They're nothing like the rugged roots of many fruit trees. Think of them as needing a breathable, sponge-like environment rather than dense, wet ground. That's why drainage isn't optional, it's critical. Avocado roots must sit in soil that holds moisture and air at the same time. When soil stays saturated, air pockets disappear and roots can't breathe. Starved of oxygen, they weaken, and opportunistic fungi, especially the ones responsible for root rot, move in. This disease is the leading cause of avocado tree loss worldwide. The tricky part? Stressed trees often look thirsty, so people water more, which makes the problem worse. The principle is simple. Moist but airy equals ideal. Wet and dense equals dangerous. Before planting, check how well your soil drains. Dig a hole about a foot deep and fill it with water. If the water lingers for hours, the soil holds too much moisture. That's your red flag. In that case, don't plant at ground level. Build a raised mound instead, about 12 to 18 inches tall and several feet across. Elevating the root zone allows gravity to pull excess water downward while improving airflow around roots. Many seasoned growers say mound planting is the single biggest factor in long-term success. Make the mound broad, not steep. Avocado roots spread outward more than downward, so horizontal space matters. When preparing soil, avoid overdoing amendments. Filling the hole with rich potting mix can create a container effect, where water collects and roots hesitate to grow beyond the amended zone. Use mostly native soil with a modest amount of compost, enough to boost biology without changing structure too much. The goal isn't to replace your soil, it's to make it more alive. In nature, avocados evolved in forest soils, loose, organic, and full of microbial life. Compost introduces beneficial organisms, including fungi, that partner with avocado roots to improve nutrient absorption and resilience. After planting, mulch becomes your best ally. A generous layer of wood chips or leaf litter mimics a forest floor and offers multiple benefits. Keeps soil temperature stable, slows evaporation, feeds soil organisms as it decomposes, improves structure gradually, suppresses weeds. Just remember, keep mulch a few inches away from the trunk. It should protect the soil, not smother the bark. As mulch breaks down over time, it builds rich, crumbly soil from the surface downward, a slow, natural improvement that's healthier than heavy initial amendments. Avoid compacting the ground around the tree. Avocado roots struggle in hard soil, so minimize foot traffic over the root zone. Also be mindful of salts. Avocados are sensitive to them. Excess synthetic fertilizer or poor irrigation water can harm roots. This is another reason organic matter and mulch outperform strong chemical feeding early on. Good avocado soil feels loose, smells earthy, and drains quickly. If squeezing it releases water, it's too wet. If it dries into hard clods, it needs more organic matter. When soil conditions are right, trees grow steadily, leaves stay deep green, and fruiting improves naturally. When soil conditions are wrong, no amount of fertilizer can fully compensate. So keep this in mind, you're not planting avocados in dirt. You're growing them in living, oxygen-rich earth. Love this phase. This is where an avocado tree shifts from simply staying alive to becoming a reliable, heavy producer for years to come. Let's build this step the right way. How to plant the process begins before digging. Water the tree well in its pot a few hours ahead of planting. A hydrated root ball lowers transplant stress and helps roots adjust more smoothly to their new environment. When you start digging, remember this rule. Going too deep causes problems. Going wide creates success. The hole should be no deeper than the root ball itself. Planting too low suffocates roots and traps moisture near the trunk, which invites fungal disease and rot. The base of the trunk where it widens, the trunk flare, must stay above soil level. In fact, position the root ball slightly high, about 1 to 2 inches above the surrounding ground. Soil naturally settles over time, and this prevents the tree from ending up buried too deeply later. Now focus on width. Make the hole at least twice the width of the root ball, ideally 3 times. This loosens the surrounding soil, allowing new feeder roots to move outward easily. Avocado roots spread laterally near the surface rather than diving deep. When taking the tree out of its container, handle it gently. If you see roots wrapping around the root ball, tease them apart with your fingers. If the plant is tightly root-bound, make a few shallow vertical cuts along the outer roots. This encourages outward growth instead of continued circling. Set the tree into place and check its posture. Step back and look from different angles to be sure it's straight. Starting upright prevents structural issues as it grows. When filling the hole, use mostly the soil you removed. A bit of compost is fine, but avoid rich potting mixes that hold excess moisture. Avocado roots prefer natural soil structure with air spaces. Don't pack the soil down with your feet. Lightly press it with your hands to eliminate large gaps, but keep it loose. Roots need oxygen just as much as water. Add water partway through backfilling so the soil settles naturally around the roots. Then finish filling and water again slowly and deeply. This ensures good root contact without compaction. Form a shallow watering ring around the tree, but keep the trunk area slightly raised so water never sits against the bark. If wind is an issue, stake lightly using soft ties and allow a bit of movement. Movement actually strengthens the trunk. Stakes are temporary. Remove them after the first year so the tree can develop natural stability. Finish with a generous mulch layer, about 3 to 4 inches deep, spread over the root zone but kept a few inches away from the trunk. Mulch moderates soil temperature, conserves moisture, and feeds soil life. All things avocados thrive on. Watering the right way. Watering errors are the leading cause of avocado failure. Avocados dislike constantly wet soil. Their roots are adapted to well-drained, airy conditions. Think heavy rain followed by drying, not daily light watering. Deep watering trains roots to grow downward and outward, building a stable, drought-tolerant tree. Frequent shallow watering keeps roots near the surface, making the tree weaker and dependent. After planting, water thoroughly, but not too often. Allow the top few inches of soil to dry before watering again. Use your finger to check. If it's still moist below the surface, wait. Young trees require more frequent watering because their roots are still limited. But even then, focus on deep soaking rather than surface moisture. As trees mature, they tolerate dry spells better, but they still need steady moisture during two critical periods: flowering and fruit development. Stress at these stages can lead to fruit drop. Leaves reveal what's happening. Yellow leaves that fall easily usually indicate overwatering or poor drainage. Roots may be suffocating. Brown, crispy tips often suggest inconsistent watering, salt buildup, or cycles of dryness followed by heavy watering. The aim is a steady rhythm of moisture, not extremes. Feeding your tree avocados grow vigorously and carry heavy fruit loads, so they need nutrition, just not in sudden surges. They respond best to gradual, natural feeding. Compost, well-aged manure, worm castings, and balanced organic fertilizers work well because they nourish both the tree and the soil ecosystem. Nitrogen encourages leaf growth, but too much results in lots of foliage and fewer fruits. Balance is essential. You want healthy leaves, not excessive lush growth. Micronutrients matter as well, particularly zinc and iron. Deficiencies often show up as yellowing between leaf veins while the veins stay green, especially in alkaline soils. A trace mineral supplement or foliar micronutrient spray can correct this quickly. Mulch continues to play a big role. As it breaks down, it feeds soil organisms that convert nutrients into forms the tree can absorb efficiently. Living soil equals better nutrient uptake. Never pile fertilizer against the trunk. Spread nutrients in a broad ring under the canopy where feeder roots are active. Feeding is like fueling an engine: steady, balanced, and natural. When soil life is strong, roots stay healthy, leaves remain vibrant, and fruit production increases. An avocado tree doesn't need forceful care. It needs a consistent cycle: deep watering, breathable soil, gradual nutrition, and patience. Get that rhythm right, and the tree handles the rest. This is the stage where an avocado tree stops being just greenery and starts acting like a true food producer. Let's break it down properly. Pruning for production. Left alone, an avocado tree aims upward and inward, forming a tall, dense canopy. That may work in the wild, but in a home garden it creates heavy shade, weak interior growth, and fruit that's difficult to harvest. Good pruning redirects energy from excessive leaf growth into balanced structure and better fruiting. Focus on three things: shape, sunlight, and airflow. You're not trying to drastically cut the tree back, you're shaping it over time. A productive avocado tree usually has an open center with sturdy main branches extending outward, forming a broad, bowl-like canopy. This structure allows sunlight to reach deeper into the tree, which is crucial. Flowers formed in heavy shade often fall without setting fruit. Begin with the essentials. Remove dead, broken, or diseased wood. Then identify branches that cross and rub. Those contact points create wounds that invite pests and infections, so remove one of the competing branches. Height control is also important. Avocados can quickly grow taller than is practical. An overly tall tree shades its lower limbs and pushes fruit production out of reach. Reduce height gradually by cutting back to a side branch, not leaving bare stubs. This encourages outward growth rather than vertical shoots. Avoid major pruning in one session. Avocados respond poorly to sudden, heavy cuts. Instead, make lighter adjustments each year, ideally after harvest. Timing matters. Pruning during bloom removes potential fruit and stresses the tree. Thin out overly dense inner growth as well. If little sunlight filters through the canopy, it's too crowded. Better airflow lowers the risk of fungal issues and helps pollinators move through the tree. Remember, leaves are the tree's energy source. Don't strip too many. The balance is simple: enough foliage to power growth, enough light to support fruiting. A well-managed tree that's smaller and open often produces more usable fruit than a large, overgrown one lost in shade. Flowering and pollination. Avocado flowering follows one of the most unusual systems in fruit trees. Each flower opens twice, first functioning as female, later as male, but at different times. This system reduces self-pollination and encourages cross-pollination. Trees are commonly grouped into Type A and Type B. Type A flowers act as female in the morning, close, then reopen as male the next afternoon. Type B flowers function as female in the afternoon and reopen as male the following morning. When both types are planted near each other, their schedules overlap, boosting pollination and fruit set. A single tree can still produce fruit, but yields often improve with both types nearby. Temperature influences timing. Cooler conditions can blur the schedule, allowing more overlap even within one tree. Warmer, stable weather keeps the patterns more distinct. Bees do most of the work. Avocado flowers aren't strongly scented, but they provide nectar and pollen. A strong bee presence directly supports fruit production. This is why pesticide use during bloom is harmful. It reduces pollinator activity and cuts yields before fruit even forms. Encouraging pollinators with diverse flowering plants nearby helps overall success. You'll see huge numbers of blossoms, but only a small fraction turn into fruit. That's completely normal, and the tree overproduces flowers as insurance. Fruit development and patience. After successful pollination, small fruits begin to grow. Then many drop. This natural fruit drop is part of the tree's self-regulation. It keeps only what it can support based on available energy, nutrients, and water. Healthy foliage and consistent watering during this period help the tree retain more fruit. Avocados are unusual because they reach maturity on the tree but don't soften there. Mature fruit can hang for months, effectively acting as living storage. This is the secret behind having a continuous supply. Instead of picking everything at once, you harvest as needed. Once picked, avocados ripen in a few days off the tree, while the rest remain firm on the branches. This spreads production over time, reduces waste, and provides steady food rather than a single overwhelming harvest. Within reason, fruit left longer on the tree develops higher oil content and richer flavor. However, fruit can't hang indefinitely. The tree eventually needs to redirect energy into the next flowering cycle. Patience is essential. Young trees often take several years before producing heavily. But once mature, a healthy avocado tree can carry fruit consistently, with overlapping crops that create the feeling of an endless harvest. Over time, the system balances itself. Strong roots below, an open canopy above, active pollinators at work, and fruit hanging quietly, ready whenever you are.